Welcome to another episode of HBA Today, presented by the Home Builders Association of Berks County. We're here today again with the generosity of some very fine students at the Berks Career and Technical Center here in Berks County who are giving up their time today to film us. My name is Jim Gavin. I am a past president of the Home Builders Association, and today with us we have the absolute honor to have the current president of the Pennsylvania Builders Association, who is a three-time president of the Home Builders Association of Berks County, Mr. Kurt Sloan. Kurt, how are you?
Wonderful. Thank you for the introduction.
You're welcome. So today what we're talking about with Kurt is the decision to remodel a home and how you select a remodeler or a builder. And so, Kurt, I kind of want to begin with this. I've seen or read that there's some trends that in today's demographics, as people are getting older, they're not moving as much, they're not choosing to buy a new house as they are choosing to remodel the one that they're living in. Is that what you're seeing?
Yes, there's a lot out there. That's one of the reasons I went for designations, or CAPS designations, which is Certified Aging in Place. And what that taught us is how to prepare the older generation to stay in their home, such as making their bathrooms accessible to them. If they can't make the steps, we had an individual in Hamburg, Pennsylvania, where she couldn't do the steps anymore. She had complete 3 stories on this house. It was huge, but she needed a bathroom down on the first level, which there was none. So we could accommodate her by her back porch, close it in, and then put she could actually wheel in with her wheelchair under the sink. She could wheel into her shower, raised toilets with grab bars, and she could then stay and work in her kitchen, sleep in the quarters that she had set up on her first level and not have to do the second floor. So we're seeing a lot of that here of late.
In terms of like the trends that you're seeing, are you seeing people, doing small projects, big projects, something in between? What are you seeing?
Depends on the time period that I've been doing it for 37 years, so of course we've gone through slow times and
when you say slow times, you're talking about the economy?
The economy, okay. Such as 2008. That hit us all as far as builders and remodelers. Traditionally, it's actually happened to myself and my business 3 separate times that we've had a downturn. 2008 definitely was the worst. Generally what happens is when we have a downturn, the builders end up slowing up because they can't get the money from the banks. They can't see themselves building a new house at this point because their income is a little scary, or maybe their job is that way. So they then lend themselves to calling a remodeler because they're going to stay in their house longer. 2008, that did not happen. Everybody held their hands in their pockets, and all they were doing were Band-Aid items, such as a window here, a window there, door here, door there, small projects. It has loosened up here in the last 2 years, where we are seeing bathrooms coming back, kitchens coming back, patio rooms, that type of thing, which are more a wish list. You can fix your leaky plumbing and you can fix maybe your countertops, but you won't do a whole kitchen in a downturn. But when things are starting to look better and people feel secure about their jobs, then they'll invest in staying in their home and doing the larger projects.
So here I think is the important question. If I am choosing to do a remodel in my home and I don't have a good friend like Kurt Sloan, how do I choose a builder or a remodeler without risk of being taken advantage of?
Well, stay out of the yellow pages as far as I'm concerned. Call the local HBA office. There's 32 HBA offices or associations in our state. So there's one close to you if you're not listening from Berks County, but if you are from Berks County, Home Builders of Berks County is a good start. That minimizes getting a bad egg. You can at least they won't give you who they prefer, they will give you a list of who are members. From there, you've narrowed it down a bit. Then what I would do is call those individuals, interview them like you were going to be interviewed for a job. You would interview that individual because they're going to work for you. You're going to give them a lot of money, so you need to put some trust into that individual. My thought process is you are buying that individual that's coming out. You're not buying product from them that day. You got to see if that individual and their people are the proper people to work in your household. After that, I'd check with your neighbors and friends and also ask for jobs they've done in the area and go look at those jobs. Contact the individuals. Do some homework. If you're going to spend thousands of dollars with an individual that's going to be in your home and you want it to be something that you don't have to do again, you better get the right person.
What should, you said the yellow pages, but what else should a homeowner avoid when selecting their remodeler or builder?
Somebody that would come out and hard pressure sell you. We've had them throughout the years. Some companies love to sell that way. If they're staying in your house more than you want them to be, kick them out. That's not somebody you want to deal with. You want to deal with somebody that's been in the business a long time, has been around the block, knows what they're talking about, has their own employees. And if they sub, such as we do when we do bathrooms and kitchens, we can't have everybody with all the expertise to do, such as a plumber, electrician, drywall specialist, a flooring specialist. Make sure those companies that he's telling you about, or she, are companies that are reputable and they have their own people. Again, you have to trust the individual that's out there, and doing your homework is going to help you out quite a bit. You can sit and look at their website also and get a little bit of a feel on, because they should be telling you how long they've been in business, how long their people have been with them, and that should mean something. With us, we make a big deal about being in business for 37 years. There's a reason why we're in business for 37 years. We haven't been taking advantage of people, otherwise we would have been gone a long time ago.
So have you ever heard of the phrase of chuck in a truck?
Yes, I have.
What can you tell us about chuck in a truck?
Well, you could get lucky with a chuck in a truck. That's pretty decent, but again, that's like playing the lottery. They're not putting any money into advertising. Most times, they're working under the radar. They don't have an HIC license.
And what is an HIC license?
Home improvement contractor license, and that's through the state of Pennsylvania. You have to pay to play, obviously, and it's as a person that's looking at that contractor then it's telling you they have insurance. They're supposedly a real contractor. Not everybody's paying for that HIC. We've been noticing that throughout the state. Some organizations in our state won't even let you be a member of the organization unless you have an HIC.
And so anybody that's watching this, that the phrase chuck in a truck is kind of a phrase used within the home builders industry of some builders who are less than reputable. And what you're saying is, if I understand you correctly, is every once in a while you may actually find a diamond in the rough with one of those guys, but it's better to go with somebody that is more reputable. You can check into his background, you can check his references, you can go out and look at his or her projects.
They will open their book to you. They will tell you anything you need to know because they have nothing to hide. They actually have lettering on their truck. They actually have employees that have lettering on their clothing. They want to be known, so they are insured. They do have the license. They're following the new codes that just came out in October because they need to. It's their livelihood.
So when somebody is deciding to do some type of remodel, I assume for just about everybody, I hope, budget is always going to be an issue on a project. How, or let me restate that, do you have any recommendations for a family that wants to do some type of remodel, of how they should set their budget on the project?
Well, if they would work like our past customers did 10, 15 years ago, my father's generation, they saved for a little project every year. They saved, they put away enough money. They may have asked the contractor, which might have been me at the time, what do I need to put away for next year because I want to do X amount of work. So they constantly planned year to year that they were going to do something in their home, whether it was large or small, and they planned and saved the money for it. If it was something out of hand, they would plan then to see the bank if they were clear enough that they could go pull a loan. But the biggest fear I see is when I ask a customer, what's your budget? They don't want to tell me a lot of times because they're afraid that's what I'm going to set the price to. A good contractor is not going to do that. We just need to know, are we working in real money here? Is your ideas the same as mine as far as the monetary amount, or are we way off? And then we can work to where they need to be, whether it's less, and it's usually less than what the dollar amount is, but at least we can work within that budget that they tell us that they're working with.
And is it fair to say that sometimes you'll come in with your original proposal and they love the idea, but it's not exactly what they can afford, so there'll be some back and forth between you and your customer to come to the right project at the right price?
Yes, I did that with you.
I recall that, sir.
And we had to reduce the price.
Right.
Yeah,
but ultimately, as a good builder, good remodeler, is that something that you're comfortable with, and that's just part of the
Absolutely.
nature of the business?
I can't afford everything. I have to do that with people that come out to see me. And, I hope I feel a little more realistic about what pricing is, especially on a home, because I'm involved in that. But every now and then you'll get somebody come out and you know they're good and you get that price and you go, ugh, I wasn't planning on that. And what can we do? Then the next question should be, what can we do to bring the price down? It's, can we cut something out? Can we do a little less? Can we put a different product in there? And most times we can.
I think that for your average homeowner, if they're hiring a builder or a contractor, it's because they think they need one. They don't know how to do the work themselves. And I think sometimes for those individuals, they don't understand the timing that's associated with your type of work. In other words, I signed my contract with you today. Why are you not at my house tomorrow building my kitchen, bathroom, front porch, whatever the case may be? Can you explain the process that builders or remodelers go through from the time the contract's signed until the time they're actually on site doing the build?
From the time the contract's signed, of course, we'll go back to our desk and it'll go through an order process for most part. We'll use windows, for example. They have to be ordered, especially in my line where we're using custom windows. So we'll go back, we'll order them through a computer process, send it up to the factory. From that point, it's in the factory's hands. Once the factory gets the product done, they notify us when they're going to be delivering the product to us, and then we can schedule from that point on, based on weather, based on our particular schedule. Generally in busy times, we're 6 to 8 weeks out. That's a fair process for us for things that have to be ordered, unless it's such as a kitchen or where you have different contractors involved. Now you got to get them all together and know what their schedules are. So once everything comes in, we can get in the same page and we can get the project done in a timely fashion. Because once you tear out a kitchen or bathroom, you got to stay there and you got to get it done.
In terms of customer service and customer relations, I assume that you would agree that it's a really good idea for the contractor or builder to remain in communication with their customer.
Oh,
to let them
absolutely.
know how the timing's going.
If timing goes long, you should call a customer. Say, hey,
And-
look, we're another week out due to weather, due to conditions on a job prior, whatever that is, because they need to know. Once it gets into that 6-8 week period, people are getting a little nervous, especially when they've given a possible third down on a job, and you're sitting with their money, and they haven't seen anything happen other than a piece of paper and maybe a pen I gave them after the contract was signed. So that doesn't hold water when you're getting close to the time.
And at
you
the
should be
same
doing it.
time, I would think that a good builder remodeler has no problem with the customer calling and saying, I thought you'd be here by now.
Yeah. I just saw a lady today in the grocery store ask when I was going to put her awnings in. And she is next on the list, so as soon as they come in, we're going to be putting them in. But she didn't run after me with a hatchet. We had a great conversation, and she was looking forward to it.
So I think one of the things that's particularly important about our discussion today and the Home Builders Association on the whole is the reality is there are some people out there that are being taken advantage of.
Correct.
And that's actually particularly the elderly. Do you agree with that?
I do. I had a few elderly customers where they've told me some stories.
Okay. Can you comment on some of the things that you've seen and what can be done to avoid that?
One of the most common things I read and hear about are I don't consider them a contractor, they're con artists, where the individual will knock on someone's door, an older individual's door, and tell them, I was up on your neighbor's roof and I patched some work on his roof and I saw that you had some things to be done. So I got it done, now you owe me $500. Let's just use that as an example. And of course, if it's an elderly woman, she feels intimidated. Maybe the person has their foot halfway through the door. That doesn't need to happen. That should never happen. Never pay for anything that you did not sign a contract for or had given permission for somebody. If you did not give permission for that person to be there, they shouldn't be on your roof at all. The nice thing this lady did is she wrote the check because she was afraid. Guy left and went down to the bank and tried to cash it. And on his way to the bank, she called the bank and stopped payment on the check. So, she was smart enough I'm not going to get in a confrontation with this guy, but I'm going to let him go and then I'm going to stop payment on the checks.
And I would assume if a person like that was concerned that they might be victimized, we all would encourage them to call the police and let the police know.
Absolutely.
So, Kurt, let me wind up today with this. You, my friend, have been involved in the Home Builders Association in Berks County in Pennsylvania and the National Association for longer than probably both of us can count. But that having been said, why should the community want to use the Home Builders Association when they're considering a project?
It's the only association, as far as I'm concerned, that fits my needs and our needs for our industry. It helps us with advocacy. It helps us with just giving us a better image because we're trying to be a better company out there. We want to be visible. We want to be that quality organization that you can come to and feel good about when you're getting members from that association. We've worked real hard on that. I know I was just a kid when I came in as a member, and the good old boys then were my age now. So it was a scary situation, but they believed the same thing then. They believed in their association. They believed in each other. They made that tight-knit group so they could work with each other. They could suggest each other if they weren't good at one profession or another. They knew somebody else to send to their customers so they didn't get burned. By the way, we do that. We have a list of members from the association that I deal with personally, that I trust, like my customers trust me, and they will call us before they call someone else to get that list. If we don't do it, and we don't do it professionally, we give it to somebody else. But it's always a member-to-member deal. I trust my own members that are members of this association.
Kurt, thank you so much for being here today. This was awesome. For those of you who might be watching this, I think the real message from today is that if you're hiring a remodeler and you're hiring a builder, they're coming into your home. They should be giving you a customer service. Make sure you get what you're paying for. Don't have any problems asking any questions. If the person that you're dealing with is not answering your questions or not taking the time, perhaps it's time to look for somebody different.
Thank you.
I make this up as I go.